said something about the possibility of pulling something on consent. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this Tuesday, February 19th, 2019, full meeting of the McLean County Board. This time I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please rise for the invocation by Member Metzger.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for every seat that has been filled here today. For every mind and heart that fills the presence of this room, we thank you. I ask today, your will be done. Take what we have prepared and multiply our efforts, and be our guiding light for all that we set out to accomplish. God bless all our endeavors in this meeting, and guide us in our discussions. Enlighten our minds in every decision we make, and give us grace that we may effectively do our parts as public servants. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
County Clerk, please call the roll.
Lindsay Bloomfield. William Casely. Present. Sharon Chung. Present. Chuck Erickson. Here. George Gordon. Here. Elizabeth Johnston. Here. Randall Martin. Here. Catherine Metzger. Present. Scott Murphy. Here. Carlo Robustelli. Absent. Susan Schaefer. Here. Logan Smith. Here. James Soldner. Here. Gerald Thompson. Here. Shana Wachinski. Here. George Wendt. Present. Lori Wolreb. Here. Josh Barnett. Present. Jacob Beard. Present. John McIntyre.
Present. We have 19 members present, one absent. We do have a quorum. We'll move on to number 5 on our agenda, appearance by members of the public and county officials. We have 2 speakers tonight. The first, I'd like to welcome Mr. David Howells and Mrs. Becky Howells. Becky, you're welcome to come up to the podium. I think we have it on for you. I would remind all members that this has already been a public hearing before the Zoning Board of Appeals on the matter that Becky is speaking, which included testimony from the applicants and any interested community members. When this board votes on recommendations from the ZBA, we are required by law to make our decisions solely upon the record created at the public hearing, and we cannot consider any information gained outside of that hearing. Welcome, Becky, and you have the floor.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I would just like to take this opportunity to thank the McLean County Zoning Board of Appeals for their due diligence shown regarding the case of number SU 18-31. As it is known, the responsibility of the ZBA is to hear the case information and render a recommendation on those facts. This system is in place to protect the well-being of the citizens of McLean County, and please, I do request that you uphold their decision. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Mrs. Camille Taylor, an old friend and colleague, and I'll meet you at the podium.
That's okay. I'm on. Is this mic on? Yeah, okay. Thank you for allowing me a few minutes to share the 2018 Not in Our Town annual report. I am aware that you were given a copy along with your board package, so thank you for giving me a few minutes to just highlight some of the things that Not in Our Town was involved in 2018. We are a grassroots organization that has been in existence for over 20 years. We're coming up about 22 years. We operate on a committee structure. I'm operating as the co-chair this year, and our treasurer, Steve Beatty, is here with me tonight. There's Steve. And we have four committees: the Community Concerns Committee, Not in Our School, Arts and Culture, and Faith and Outreach. And through these committees, we implement different activities in the community. We do a lot of collaboration with other groups. As you look through the report and see some of the activities that we've engaged in, one is the Youth Summit that was last fall, that was in collaboration with United Way. Our Not in Our School committee, we're in 13 of the schools in Bloomington Normal. They are primarily student-led. March for Our Lives, that was last March on a very snowy day out in front of the courthouse, was led and organized by those students. In each school, it takes on a different presence depending on what the needs are or the issues that have been identified in their schools. They try to address those. Arts and Culture, you probably have seen them appear at different community events through the BCAI. And the Faith and Outreach Committee has formed an interfaith group with various religions in the community, and they've had peace vigils and come together on various things. They meet regularly. So I can entertain any questions if you have them. And seeing, is that a hand up? Okay, seeing none, thank you for the time to share that information. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Taylor. We'll move on to the consent agenda before you. What say you? Motion to approve by Member Schaefer, second by Member Woolrab. Member Woolrab wants the floor. Do I have a second? Second by Member Solner. Member Woolrab.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to pull off E2A for consideration after consent.
Item E2A from the Justice Committee. Okay, Mr. Gordon, got that fine? Are there any other items to be pulled off? Member Casey.
I'd like to be reported as not voting on item C1C due to a conflict of interest.
Okay, C1C. Mr. Casey abstains from item C1C on the consent agenda. Any other items? Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with the provision of one item being pulled off. Are there any others at this time? Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has carried. Item D on pages 34 and 35 is a transfer ordinance which requires a 2/3 vote. Is there anyone here who wishes to who voted no on the transfer ordinances on pages 34 and 35? If not, then I'll consider that to be unanimous. Thank you. And we'll move on to standing committees report. Executive Committee, Vice Chairman Solner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Executive Committee has, looks like 3 items for action today. First one is 7A1A, request approval of an ordinance by the McLean County Board amending Chapter 257 and Section 205-31 of McLean County Code, dealing with raffle and poker run ordinance, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Solner. Is there a second? Second by Member Johnston. Comments or questions? Any discussion? If none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Next item is 7A1B, request approval of an ordinance by the McLean County Board amending Section 82 of Chapter 108 of the McLean County Code and deals with involuntary resignation. I so move.
Motion by Member Solner. Is there a second? Second by Member Gordon. Comments or questions? If none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Next item is 7A1C, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2019 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance, General Fund 0001, Information Services 0043, Shared Sales Tax Municipalities 0007, Non-Departmental Department 0099, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Solner, is there a second? Second by Member Schaefer. Comments or questions? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. This requires a 2/3 vote. Is there anyone who wants to vote no on this item? If not, the motion is considered to have passed unanimously.
There are another number of other reports in the packet, along with our general report and the unapproved minutes. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, we'll move right on to the Finance Committee, Chairman Solner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Finance has nothing to present today. I'd be glad to answer any questions dealing with the Finance Committee.
Thank you, sir. Report of the Health Committee, Chairmember Schaefer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Health Committee has no items for action today, and our general report can be found on pages 16 through 21.
Thank you. Report, item D, Land Use and Development Committee, Chairmember Erickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Land Use and Development Committee has no items for action, and our general report can be found on pages 22 through 25. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Transportation Committee report, Chairman Kaisley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have no items for action, and our general report can be found on pages 26 through 29 of the unapproved minutes. And it's always nice to receive a compliment. And so I'm happy to send a compliment that I got recently from a resident, a civil engineer, by the way, at Lake Bloomington, who says that the Highway Department has done a fantastic job of plowing snow and ice this season.
It's good to hear. Thank you, Chairman Kaisley. We'll move on to the report of the Property Committee, Chairman Murphy.
Property Committee brings two items for action. F1A, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2019 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance General Fund 001, Facilities Management 0004, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Murphy, second by Member Johnston. Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. This requires a 2/3 vote. Any no votes to be recorded? If none, it is unanimous.
We bring item F1B, request approval of a resolution authorizing the chairman to sign a donor agreement to accept and install a statue commemorating the history of aerial circus performers in McLean County, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Murphy, second by Member Smith. Comments or questions? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
That's all.
the same sign.
That's all we have for action. We do have our general report on file, and I can answer any questions if asked.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to the report of the Justice Committee. Chairman Gordon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Justice Committee came in with 2 items, and we now have 3. With the indulgence of the chair, I believe it's appropriate for me to take the item that was pulled first from the consent agenda. That was item E2A, back on page 2 of our packet. Request approval of a lease agreement between Hope Pregnancy Center of Livingston County and McLean County, found on pages 47 and 48 in our packet, and I'll move that.
Motion by Member Gordon, second by Member Murphy. Comments or questions?
We'll get a roll call on that.
Yeah, okay, well, when we take a vote, we can do that. Thank you. Any other comments? Member Woolrab.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to make it clear that I very strongly support the CAC. It's the organization with whom we will be entering into this lease agreement that I have some concerns with, and I hope we can talk about that for future space needs. Thank you.
Are there any other comments? If not, it's been requested we have a roll call vote. We'll take it.
Yep.
Chair Clerk, please call the roll.
Lindsay Bloomfield. William Kaisley.
Aye.
Sharon Chung. Chuck Erickson.
Yes.
George Gordon.
Yes.
Elizabeth Johnston.
Yes.
Randall Martin.
Yes.
Catherine Metzger.
Yes.
Scott Murphy.
Yes.
Susan Schaefer.
Yes.
Logan Smith. James Solner. Gerald Thompson. Shana Wachinski. George Wendt. Lori Wilreb. Josh Barnett. Jacob Beard. Are you voting, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
John McIntyre. Okay.
What do we have?
1, 2, 3, 4 noes.
So we have 15 yes votes and 4 no votes, and the motion's carried. Member Gordon, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item G1A, request approval of a contract for services between the DeWitt County Community Mental Health Board and McLean County, the Children's Advocacy Center, found on pages 138 through 143 in our packet, and I'll move that.
Motion by Chairman Gordon, second by Member Martin. Comments or questions or discussion? If none, all in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same sign. Motion is carried.
Our final item is item G1B, request approval of the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority grant and related documents, the Community Law Enforcement Deflection Program, pages 144 through 210, and I'll move that, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Chairman Gordon. Is there a second? Second by Member Barnett. Comments or questions? If none, all in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
Our general report can be found in the unapproved minutes, pages 34 through 42, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to the report of the County Administrator, Mr. Watson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing else for the board this evening. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any other business of communication from any members? If not, I'll move on to item 9, approval of the bills. These bills have been reviewed and approved for payment by our auditor in the amount of $3,754,803.67. Is there a motion to approve the bills? Motion by Member Casely, second by Member Thompson. Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion has carried. I have no other business tonight. Thank you very much. This meeting's adjourned.